Food and the buffet as we start the ceremony, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm Morris Ratner. I am the Provost and Academic Dean at UC Law, and it's my pleasure to start this year's Mary Kay Kane Excellence Award ceremony. As part of her estate, Emerita Chancellor and Dean Mary Kay Kane endowed a fund to support faculty. Using the annual payout from that fund, the college created 3 awards to honor Dean Kane's legacy of service, scholarship, and teaching excellence at UC Law by recognizing faculty who have excelled in those areas. This is our 3rd annual awards program in honor of Dean Kane and our fellow community members. This year's selection committee for the Kane Awards included Chancellor and Dean David Fagman, myself, Associate Dean for Research Dave Owen, Faculty Executive Committee Chair Emily Murphy, and 2 of last year's award winners, Distinguished Professor of Law Rule Schiller and Clinical Professor Brittany Glidden. And I know I speak on behalf of the entire selection committee when I say that we are delighted to honor the 4 winners this year. So 2 of the categories are teaching categories. One is for a full-time faculty member, and the other is for a part-time adjunct faculty member. The Kane Award is the first time that we've had a regular award for adjunct faculty, so it's a really nice opportunity to do that. And the other 2 categories of awards are for service to the college community and scholarship. We're going to start with the Scholarly Excellence Award, which goes to Jody Short, because Jody is not here today and recorded an acceptance message, and I need help from our top-tier IT department to play that when I make, after I make a few introductory comments about Jody Short. Jody Short is a distinguished faculty member at the college. She is the inaugural holder of the Mary Kay Kane Chair, which was also endowed as part of Dean Kane's estate, and is a nationally respected scholar of constitutional law, administrative law, and corporate compliance behavior. Jody's research investigates how institutions and private actors influence the effectiveness and legitimacy of regulation. She brings interdisciplinary rigor to her work, often drawing on empirical methods to deepen legal insights. Recently, she is engaged in applied scholarship, submitting amicus briefs challenging executive orders and actions. It is no accident that she's the inaugural holder of the Kane Chair. Like Dean Kane was during her lifetime, Professor Short is a pillar of the law school's scholarly community. She served as Associate Dean for Research in the years 2020 to 2023, during which she led the college's efforts to achieve the research elements of our mission during the pandemic, and before and after her exemplary service in that role, she set a high bar for scholarly engagement and discourse at the college by, among other things, attending and actively participating in scholarly colloquia and generously mentoring peers and commenting on their work. Professor Short combines a fierce intellect with a joyfulness about scholarly inquiry, quietly through her participation and example, inspiring all of us to pursue our own research with passion and vigor. And so let's give a round of applause to Professor Short, who will now speak to us via video.
I am honored to receive the 2026 Mary Kay Kane Excellence Award for Scholarship and Contributions to Intellectual Life. It was obviously a surprise to receive this award because I had long ago booked the travel plans that prevent me from attending today's ceremony. I wish I could be here to celebrate with you and the other award winners, but you are going to have to settle for this video instead. I owe a great debt to Mary Kay Kane for the paths she blazed as a woman in the legal academy. She made first tracks on so many hills, and I am grateful to be able to stand on her shoulders. But beyond her firsts, she built a legacy to last here at UC Law. Mary Kay Kane was a renowned and dedicated scholar whose reputation helped build the scholarly reputation of this institution. But it was only one element of her multifaceted talents and contributions to the institution, represented by the various awards she endowed. Through her combined contributions in scholarship, teaching, service, and administration, Mary Kay Kane helped to build our community. The way I think about scholarship is very much in the vein of community building. Scholarship is a conversation, or maybe a series of conversations. It is a portal into conversations with the past. It is an unfolding conversation about the future. And it is fertile ground for conversations in and about the present. These conversations build and nurture the intellectual life of our community and our relationships with one another. I am so fortunate to be surrounded by colleagues whose work I deeply admire. It is a singular pleasure of this job to get to have these conversations with you all every day. And it is a great honor to be recognized for my contributions to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan, from IT, and thank you, Joseph, for the recording. And of course, over there by the buffet, thank you, Cynthia Diaz, for always putting on a great event. All right, so the next category of winner we're going to recognize this year is for service excellence. And before I announce this year's winner, I just want to say Dean Kane, in her lifetime, modeled excellence on multiple dimensions. She was a fabulous teacher, she was a great scholar, and she served this community throughout her life wholeheartedly. And although we have compartmentalized these awards in order to recognize achievement in certain areas, all of the winners this year excel in multiple areas, and that is certainly true of the winner of this year's Kane Excellence Award for Service, Professor Jeff Lefston. Let me say a few words about Jeff before I ask him to come up and accept his award. Professor Lefston served as Associate Academic Dean, a role we now call Dean of Students, from 2016 to 2019. He significantly contributed to the college's redesign of its academic program, including changes to the academic regulations and our pedagogical norms that have benefited students and helped to produce a sustained 30 percentage point increase in first-time bar pass rates since 2016. In the years since, Professor Lefston has played leading roles on the faculty, including chairing the Academic Standards Committee on a regular basis, and in that capacity, navigating complex updates of our rules. He has also generously mentored and advised new student affairs officers we have onboarded over the years, and advised the administration on student affairs and academic regulation matters. Professor Lefston also serves as advisor for the intellectual property concentration and co-directs the highly regarded Bucerius UC Law SF summer program in licensing transactions in IP, an intensive 3-week English talk program for upper division students and junior practitioners. His contributions to the college are often behind the scenes, making it particularly fitting that he be honored with an award in Dean Kane's name, given that much of what she did to improve the college during her tenure was also under the radar and behind the scenes. With that, Jeff, I'll ask you to come up and accept your award and then make a few comments.
Thank you so much, Morris. It is indeed an honor to accept this award. Mary Kay Kane was the dean who hired me when I came to the college in 2003, so I guess she's responsible for me being here in the end. She stepped down as dean just a couple of years later, so I didn't have all that much opportunity to interact with her. But certainly what shone through every interaction with Mary Kay was her complete dedication to the college. She really was the life of the college, and as Jody said, built the college in so many ways, in scholarship, in teaching, in service, and we have so much to thank her for. Let me speak a little bit about what service means to me, and really about the rewards for me that I've experienced from serving the college. I think one of the biggest is really experiencing so many facets of the college and seeing how many people work together to bring us where we are today. So most of us as teachers and scholars are aware of our students and of our fellow faculty. But my roles as chairs, as the Associate Academic Dean, gave me the opportunity to really interact with students in so many new ways, helping them through their trials and their triumphs. And there was little more satisfying about the job than seeing a student walk across the stage at graduation and knowing that I played some small role in helping them get there. Then, too, it was the opportunity to work with so many members of our dedicated staff, that their contributions, at least for us faculty, are sometimes behind the scenes. I see one of my posse there, Lisa, who was such a joy to work with in DRP. But really, it gave me that experience, and being a committee chair has given me so much more appreciation for the work that our staff does in really keeping this institution afloat. And finally, the ability to work with the experience of working with the administration has been immensely rewarding. So primarily with David and with Morris, their support and dedication to the college has always been a source of inspiration. And really, particularly Morris, I have to say that of you, because we've worked closely together ever since you stepped in as the Dean for Academic Success, I think back in 2016. I remember us both listening to Evan Lee as he waxed eloquent about his goals for the college and for our roles. But really, working with you, Morris, has really been one of the greatest pleasures. I can't count the number of times when I've gone in to talk to you feeling like I was going to be ready to retire next week, and then just walked out really with renewed love and dedication and excitement about being at this college. So really, thank you for making all of these experiences so rewarding. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for your kind remarks and for your service. And yes, you are not allowed to retire. We're going to hand the awards back to all the winners in their nice boxes at the end of the ceremony. So the next award to announce is for teaching excellence for part-time faculty, which is primarily adjunct faculty. And it's really my pleasure to talk about this year's winner, Adjunct Professor Rachel Proffitt. Professor Proffitt has taught venture capital and startups at UC Law since 2012. In connection with that, she was an integral part of UC Law SF's effort to offer an expansive curriculum that gave law students the opportunity to learn from lawyers at the very cutting edge of practice. Professor Proffitt's course is one of the reasons why National Jurist Pre-Law magazine regularly rates UC Law SF's business education program with the highest rating of A+, as it did this past year. As one student wrote in a prior end-of-semester course evaluation, Professor Proffitt brings vast industry experience to the class. She knows how things work in the real world, which really prepares us for working with venture capital firms. As another student wrote, she's an incredible professor. What makes Professor Proffitt's dedication to teaching even more remarkable is that she has continued to teach at UC Law since she became the CEO of Cooley, one of the country's top and largest law firms. Professor Proffitt reminds us that the teaching and public service elements of our mission are intertwined. Teaching is a form of public service. With that, please join me in congratulating Professor Proffitt.
Hello. It is an honor to be standing here, and I feel like I really am standing among giants. absolutely unexpected to be here in so many respects, not the least of which is when you tell me that I've been here since 2012, that really seems, wow, really long time. But it's an honor, and every year I'm invited back. I count my blessings. To me, being able to learn actually from the students, to be in those classrooms, is probably one of the favorite parts of my semester. It is, in fact, the case that I do what I do best, which is bring the real world in. Being able to impart those stories is some good entertainment and I think some good education. But I was just remarking to my table mates before we began that truly getting a chance to watch how the student body here is impacted by the geography in which we sit, and the extraordinary professors who it is their full-time job to spend time with these students, I get so much back. And it is remarkable when I think on the decade plus that I've been doing this, that there's always standard through lines, right? People who are very interested in innovation, very interested in where the world is going, venture capital, private equity, whatever those pieces are that touch the industry in which I work. But there's always this deep passion for service, whether it's service to clients, service to the community, and a real bond that I believe does set this institution apart. So I just want to say, and I know you all know this in some way, however you touch this organization, whether you are actually working here or serving here or just friends of people who have touched this organization, it is a really remarkable place. And for me, the ability to give back to my community, particularly to this institution that gave me my foundation, is very meaningful for me. So thank you for the honor. Thank you for the recognition, and it's a privilege.
All right. Are we done? Oh, no, there's one more. The Kane Excellence Award for full-time teaching faculty this year goes to Professor Lori Zimmett, the director of our academic support program and a professor of practice. Lori, I have to say, was one of my personal mentors when I first started teaching at the college first time back in 2012. I didn't know what I didn't know about teaching until I talked to Lori and really learned a lot from her, and always have felt grateful for how generous she was with her advice. But here's the official statement I have to recognize Lori, which is going to be a little bit longer because actually, Lori, in your case, I had multiple faculty members send me statements to read as well that they wanted to be part of the record in your honor. Professor Zimmett helped define the field of professionalized academic skills instruction and support in the Legal Academy in a 2024 article posted on our law school website. Marking the 40th anniversary of Professor Zimmett's tenure at UC Law, we wrote, known nationally as a founding mother of law school academic support, Lori helped pioneer a new field of legal education and won numerous accolades along the way. But it wasn't fame or notoriety that propelled her to do this work. Rather, it was a deep-seated commitment to equity and the idea that every law student should get a fair shake at unlocking their potential. One of the ways Professor Zimmett has operationalized that value system is by helping to pioneer the use of what we now all call active learning techniques in law school classrooms. A toolkit and pedagogical skill set Professor Zimmett has generously shared with many colleagues on the faculty over the years. As Professor Zimmett often says when training new faculty members, the more I talk, the less students learn. The more they talk, the better they learn. That philosophy has sparked a revolution of creativity in our classrooms at UC Law. It is thus fitting that we have the opportunity this year to recognize Professor Zimmett's many accomplishments over the past 4 decades at this law school and in the legal academy more generally. And that's not all. I'm going to read excerpts of 2 additional statements that are examples of the way our colleagues on the faculty view Lori and appreciate her contributions to our law school and to legal education. The first is from Professor Keith Hand. He's a research faculty member who has worked closely with Lori over the years to support his students. And Professor Hand over here wrote, Professor Zimmet's enthusiasm and compassion for our students and her commitment to their learning are deep and abiding. She's also a nationally recognized mentor of law faculty. Professor Zimmet is the first colleague I turn to when I have a tough classroom issue, and I can't imagine where I'd be without her guidance. She always offers wise counsel, but what makes Professor Zimmet a next-level mentor is that in all such meetings, she models the interaction likely to lead to constructive outcomes with our students, listening with compassion, leaning in to understand perspectives and goals, and asking gentle questions to prompt self-reflection. Congratulations and thank you, Lori, from Keith. And one more. This is from Professor Jennifer Freeland, who's the Associate Dean for OASIS, our Office of Academic Skills Instruction and Support. And Jennifer's statement is much longer. I'm going to read a portion of it. The whole thing is beautiful and well-deserved, but I'll just read this part. Those of us who know Lori know that she is not only the founding mother of academic support, she is the embodiment of what it means to be ASP-ish. Lori and I often talk about that word. Being ASP-ish means being empathetic, curious, thinking holistically, and guided by a deep teaching spirit. Lori lives those values every single day in every conversation with a student, every class and workshop she leads, and every colleague she mentors. One of my favorite stories about Lori captures this. A few years ago, when I was still fairly new to academic support, Lori and I attended the Newbies half-day session at the National Academic Support Conference. Yes, this session was meant for brand new academic support professionals. I did not expect Lori, who had decades of experience at that point and helped shape the field itself, to attend this introductory session, but she did. When asked why, Lori said, "There's always something to learn from everyone." That's Lori, generous, humble, and endlessly curious. She gives and gives, yet always recognizes the strengths and lessons that can be learned from others, even those newer to the work, and especially from our students. Please join me in congratulating Professor Zinn. Quick photo.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, before I start, later in this speech, I'm going to ask for your help. Every single one of you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Can you help?
Yes.
It's okay? Okay.
Lori, can I interrupt just for a second?
I have to do the video. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So, I've got one point, only one point to say. For those of you who know my teaching, you may be skeptical at this point and hungry, perhaps. No one gets to where they are. No one gets to achieve what they have without help. Can I get an amen on that? Amen. The only reason I'm here receiving this generous award is because people helped me along the way. So, first I will acknowledge them, and then I'd like to get your help in a minute. I'm grateful to UC Law, started as Hastings when I was here. They've always allowed me the freedom to be outside the box, can you tell? To do my best work. And they've always been cutting edge. Now they're cutting edge with the Academic Support OASIS department, staffed by talented teachers. They were cutting edge when they hired me. UC Law has been good to me, and I think UC Law has been good to our students, and UC Law has been good to legal education as a whole. To the administration, raise your hands. Administrators, raise your hands. Administrators, raise your hands proudly. Thank you to working to make this a better institution at an unprecedented time. in legal education and higher education. Do you agree? It's challenging times. Staff, where are you, staff? Staff, hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up. To our wonderful, hardworking staff, you make everything possible here. Everything we do is on your back. Thank you so much. Our brilliant faculty, hands up, brilliant faculty, hands up. Your insightful scholarship, your teaching of the doctrine, and where's my skills colleagues? Any skills colleagues around here? Hands up, proudly. To make great lawyers from UC Law. And, as was mentioned before, it's way fun to teach here. I can use the F word, yes? Way fun to teach here. You guys are great colleagues. I'm grateful to our students. Where are our students? Hands up. You're going to law school in a very unusual time for the country and the world. It's a very strange context for you to be staying in law school, but I will tell you, despite it or because of it, you are focused, you're smart, you're curious, and you rock. You're great, in spite of everything. No, I didn't give it to him. So I, outside the school, have had thank yous to give. There are colleagues who've been at other law schools and in organizations that further legal education that have been my role models. They have modeled the highest professional standards, and I am so grateful to them, and I try to emulate them, but they're too big, like Mary Kay Kane. They're just too high for me, but I try, like we all try. To my colleagues at other schools who are in the ALS, who are in the ABA, who are at other law schools doing the hard work in the trench to further legal education, to my colleagues. Come on, they're not here. Finally, to my family, my daughter. That's nice. And my friends, hands up, friends. You are my rock. You are my joy. You are my rock and my joy. Thank you for everything. Do your hands hurt? Do your hands hurt yet? All right, this is the time I asked for your help. Is that right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, I've just done a heartfelt thanks, have I not? And it was heartfelt. And having said that, you each are here with different roles, with different journeys, but you're each here and somebody helped you get here. Somebody, number of them, helped you get here. I want to take just a little time of silence in this room, and I want you to think of the people who helped you get to this point. And I want you to name them in your mind. Can you take just a couple of seconds to thank the people who helped you get where you are? Need more time? Got him? Got him? I want us to give voice to those names. I want us to be able to name them aloud and give them the deference and the help they provided us by naming them. Don't you think they deserve that? So in a minute, on a signal, 1, 2, 3, I want to make this room loud, I'm getting goosebumps, with acknowledging the individuals' names who helped you get here and become the person you are. Ready? Wait, I got to get my list. Hold on. Make it loud. 1, 2, 3. Who helped you? Come on, Shira, Jack, come on, call out their names. Lori. Yes, Jennifer, thank you for that. Darby. All right. Nice. Anything else? You can do it silently, I suppose. Okay. So, as I end, I want to acknowledge one name that's associated with this award. these awards. And that's Mary Kay Kane. Yeah? And I have 2 Mary Kay Kane stories before I head out. One of them was when I was a student here. She was a then professor of civil procedure. Now, if anybody knows the civil procedure course, it is not for the faint of heart. Can I get a hallelujah from that? All right. Professor Kane was the utmost expert on civil procedure. She had done publications, she had drafted rules, she had been part of ALI, American Law Institute. She was in the Judicial Conference Committee on Rules and Procedures. She was the rock star, and she was a total academic. But it was not beneath Professor Kane to write a book that would help novice law students to be able to navigate civil procedure. Then Professor Kane wrote a book called Nutshell for Civil Procedure, and it helped thousands of students over the years be able to translate and get the most out of their civil procedure courses. Now, I did not have Professor Kane, but I'm telling you, that nutshell saved my life in civil procedure, and I want to just quickly give you a context on that. She published it in January 1979. I came to this law school in August 1979. Can I say thank you, thank you, thank you, Dean Kane? And of course, the nutshell stood the test of time. It was most recently published in its 9th edition in August 2022. So many years that nutshell helped students. Last story, quickly. During my senior year, I was a tutor for the LEOP program, Legal Education Opportunity Program. Changed my life, yeah? I thought at that time, well, maybe I should become a law professor. You think? So I decided on impulse to go up and down the faculty floor looking for an open door so I could talk to a law professor about it. And as the universe provides, then Professor Kane, door was open. She didn't know me from a hole in the wall. I never took her. And I walked in, strolled in, and you would never know she had anything else to do but talk to this nervous student who was thinking about a new profession. She couldn't have been kinder. She couldn't have been more informative. I really like your participation in this. She has excelled, has been explained in scholarship, in service, in her teaching. She was the ALS president. She was the chancellor and dean of this law school. Her service is extraordinary. I'd like to thank Dean Kane, and I'd like for all of us to do one last shout out, and I'd like to hear you. On the count of 3, can we say thank you to Dean Kane for all, and she also hired me, might I add. Can we do one last shout out? Could I get everybody to participate? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Dean Kane. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for the award. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. That's our program for the day. Please enjoy the buffet. Congratulations to all our winners. Thank you very much.